Cindy, can we get a roll call, please?
Blair.
Here.
Broughton.
Here.
De Palma.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Thurman.
Here.
Unruh.
Here.
Rumble.
Here. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Thank you, Kathy and Bob. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Brings us right into our reports. We have the Treasury report. We have the General Ledger report, the Designated report, the Building Department report, and we're up to 6 houses for this year, new houses. And then we have a Recreation report, and John is not here tonight. Edna Burton Senior Center, I don't see Faye. Okay. Bring us right into the trustees' reports. Kathy, you got anything?
Yes. Hope everyone had a happy Easter celebration this past weekend. And I just wanted to say that I attended the Spring Legislative Insights webinar online March 22nd. Other than that, I didn't have any subcommittees that met. But some of the meeting highlights were noting that our current state House of Representatives will most likely change from 54 Republicans and 54 Democrats to a Democratic majority with the April 16th special election for 2 seats that have been vacated. So they're thinking that those will go Democrat. Then the governor wants to increase our CBTRS, which is our statutory revenue sharing, in her budget and by as much as 5%. And incentives for increased fines for illegal dumping, milkweed being not considered a noxious weed anymore, and more local control in setting speed limits on local roads, and more local control for short-term rentals were recently passed in the Michigan Legislative. So those are things we can look forward to. I'm curious to see how the speed limit things will work out. And there's a group that wants to eliminate property taxes. I think we've kind of heard that before, so we're not sure what will come of that. So that's all I have.
All right, Steve?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Bob?
Nothing.
Dana?
None of my subcommittees met this past month. There was a September Fest meeting that I couldn't attend, but there'll be one in April I'm hoping to attend, and then have a meeting this week regarding the rec plan. And that's about it that's going on.
All right. Scott?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Rosalind?
Okay. Good evening. Thank you all for attending the board meeting for Brandon Township. The clerk's office is preparing for the upcoming audit scheduled for the week of April 22nd. The clerk's office did apply for a drop box reimbursement for our ballot drop box. The amount of that reimbursement was $5,318.23. We did receive that reimbursement. We also applied for a 2023 transit reimbursement program through Oakland County, which we have received $32,036.02 for that reimbursement so far. In March, I did complete the 3rd year of the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerk Institute and graduated with the certification as a Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk. It was a great week. Thank you. And learned lots this week. Some of our topics include preparing for the presidential election, records management, ethics, emotional intelligence, security, and time management. As always, it was a great experience. Candidates looking to serve on the Brandon Township Public Library Board or the Township Board, please stop by the clerk's office to pick up a nominating position. Or you can pay a $100 filing fee. The term is from November 20th, 2024 through November 20th of 2028. The filing deadline is April 23rd of this year by 4.
All right. Thank you, Rosalind. Just two quick things. Chief Quapis and I did attend the Oakland County Commissioners meeting recently to try to oppose the fire dispatch contract, but unfortunately that didn't go very well, and you see that new contract on your agenda for tonight. And we can expect the same to happen when the police contracts get renewed as well, so those extra fees are going to be crammed down our throats. So we have that, and then we being me, the Groveland and Holly supervisor, and the Village of Ortonville manager, had a meeting with Representative McLean's office to discuss the ongoing sewer project, to put it on their radar and use them as a potential funding source in the future. So we're trying to get some funds from them for that sewer project so we can get that continue to move along. So that's it for today. Correspondence, we have the West Nile Virus Protection Letter. We have Planning Commission meeting minutes from February 6th, Septemberfest committee meeting minutes from March 20th, and we have the BGYA report that Bob will talk about later under the new business. He wants to talk about it there. So that brings us to citizens' comments, and this first round of citizens' comments are on agenda items only. So if it's on the agenda, it is open to discuss. Well, to talk, not to discuss. And you are limited to 3 minutes. So is there anybody that has any? Yeah.
Is the new business part of the agenda?
Yeah, it's A through J.
Okay. My name is Matt Shader. I'm a co-owner of your Food Dude food truck. We do a lot of business in Brandon Township and here in Ortonville. I just wanted to give a couple of my insights and opinions for the second reading of the mobile food ordinance. I noticed that under the general provision sections, it says that we must get property owner permission to operate and receive advanced written notice. So does this mean that for any grad party, we have to give the township a written notice? And also section 6-144 states that the annual permit shall include the following materials. Item 5 asks for a sketch of the location and where the service areas will be. So if this is a private party event, like a grad party at a residence, will this still be required? And will a food truck have to do this for each grad party? I think there should be a clear definition between what is needed for a private party residence versus a public or private party using a public space. It's still a good idea for a food truck to obtain a permit to operate within the township, even for a grad party or birthday party, because you still want all the citizens and the operators of the food truck to still be safe. However, I don't think it should require a sketch, especially at a private residence, as to where the food truck should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right. See none. No discussion. That brings us to our consent agenda. We have regular meeting minutes of March 4th, 2024. Regular bills in the amount of $22,237.27, and prepays in the amount of $459,794.49. So we're looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy and Steve. Any questions? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Hunter,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Trumbull.
Yes, motion carries. No unfinished business. That brings us right into our new business. So, Bob?
Hello, I'm Bob MacArthur, the chairman of Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance. First of all, to go through the annual report. Let's see, there was a couple of you here attended that report, and it was great. We had on our annual breakfast. It was a great speaker from the county. He was the assistant judicial executive underneath all the judges,
Yep, that was it.
yeah, of Oakland County in the family court. So and he really gave us quite a lesson on where we're looking at for the future for the caseworker of more incidents and because of laws being changed. With that, I'm sorry, I didn't. We have Shelby Stewart Solden. I learned my lesson. And Jason and Scott are both members of, on the board of BGYA. Just on their annual report, you can see that, we covered a whole gambit of skill building items where, and basically just giving a short description of each one of them and roughly how many students or kids were there. And you can see it's quite a broad amount, and a lot of that occurs because of Junior Blackhawks. That organization is now doing so many kids that they need help every now and then for kids that can't afford to participate. So we're getting a little more activity there. Brandon Rec, as usual, they do a great job for us, and they definitely help the folks in the community that of getting support for the funds for those programs. Family education, we've done some. We do as much as we can. You'll see that the library's involved. That Laura, she's a volunteer. I don't know how we call her to volunteer, but she volunteers Fran to be on the board. And so we get a lot of activity out of that library of different programs and a lot of support, what they bring to the community. And we're just blessed to be able to help support that and fund some of those programs at the library. Those are pretty easy programs for us because we don't have to do a lot of work. We just have to write a check and it's good to go, which is good for us. Last year, you see youth recognition was an awful lot of kids. That changed. That will be changed. On April 25th, we will be doing the youth recognition. Some may have already got an invitation to attend it. And it's down to over a quarter of how many there was, because they changed the guidelines of how do you get recognized to be on the stage and get all those certificates. Before it was pretty open, and a whole class was getting recognized, where now the whole class may get a recognition through the school, but if there was a student that did something exceptional at as road guard or organized all the other kids, they'll get recognized. It took something a little more exceptional to get them there, where in the past it didn't. It was great. If you'd attended it last year, that was a spectacular evening. We had well over 350 family members and grandparents, and it was great. Oh, we've done different community programs. Some of those through the school, through the Masons. They've always been a big supporter. And same way with our April's autism and child abuse prevention month, and we'll be doing the pinwheels and all of that. We have been getting community partners. That's been building. Real Estate One does a shred day that we make all, they give us all the funds from that day to BGYA. And we have moneymakers sometimes through DDA, September Fest, Witches Night. Those are generally $100, $200 nights, but we get our word out. We generally have our banners or, flyers there. And besides that, most of those are actually a lot of fun to be at. So it's a good excuse for me to be able to leave and go down there to it. So you'll see the amount of kids. We touched 556 kids through the year, and which is considerably up over last year, where we on the programs that we did. And again, it's due to different organizations getting more aware of us, and the families getting more aware that we're there to help them with the financing and that sort of thing. And the families, either through Love and Logic, I don't know if you know that one. Again, we do that one through the library with Fran, and one of the village council members is the leader of that. And you get down to the caseworker, and and you'll see, hopefully you've looked at it a bit, because you'll see the ages and the amounts of kids and what's occurred there. And that's something we work hard to get eliminated, and it never gets eliminated. You know, all we can do is hopefully that we don't get more kids and that are into problems and trouble with everything. So our caseworker does a great job, keeps an awful lot of kids out of court, out of having a misdemeanor on their record, and there's going to be more. We were informed by the court that I think they decriminalized vaping and decriminalized marijuana. So anything occurs at the school, the police officer doesn't have many options to do anything. So the school ends up being responsible, and they've attended a meeting there, and they've changed their guidelines of how they're going to deal with those things compared to what they did in the past, because they did a lot of prevention and work like that with the kids. But now as far as having requirements of them of being suspended out of sports, those things didn't occur before, and now they will underneath these new guidelines. So that's a good thing. From that annual breakfast, it worked out pretty good, because the gentleman was from the court system, and we had a county commissioner there, and I was able to take advantage of that with a complaint about how our caseworker splits her time with Holly. And she does 2.5 days here and 2.5 days at Holly. And it's a chore. She has a heck of a time keeping up with all of that. And our gentleman from the court system approached those at the county that needs to be changed. So we'll see if that breakfast paid off or not, because it was pretty well set up for me to go after Bob Hoffman, and he had a good crew of folks around him after that breakfast, and lots of them having questions about, what's the deal? Why are we having to share? So if you don't have any questions, anybody, I'm good. And again, it's another good year. And just to let you know, the majority of all those items on there is CDBG funded. That come out of the clerk's office and out of both clerk's office. We did a little over $20,000 worth of CDBG money that was catch up from COVID. But last year, we did about $20,000 worth of CDBG money. And the clerks can tell you that's not an easy task. That was a real chore to get through that, to get it done, and a very big benefit for us. Plus, we had that huge donation from CAS for $9,000. So we're moving along. I don't want you to think we have a lot of money, because what I'm going to ask you for. We are set well. And we go through that money and use it for the kids on different programs. But is there any questions on the annual report? Kathy?
Not necessarily the annual report, but I can't think of a better place for us to use our opioid settlement funds. But I did have a question, because it was unclear on whether or not we received the funds yet.
Yes.
And so I asked Jason, and he responded that we did get it, and it's in our miscellaneous line.
Yeah.
So I'm all good with this.
And seeing as how we're there, real quick, I will keep this as brief as I possibly can, which is difficult. But those funds Jason and I have had working back and forth for some time, because we couldn't prove what we could use them for to bring it down to our level. We don't have opioid where they go for treatment, those kinds of things. We don't have any of that here to use that money on. And the money was to be recommended to use for opioid prevention. And there is documentation of other communities that did not do that, because it is settlement money. It's not grant money. It's yours. And we've hunted for trying to find different programs, and especially you'll see down in that one Exhibit E that we finally found one line in there that started us looking a little more in depth about media programs. And we had a meeting with the Citizen, and they were definitely supportive of us doing through the year. The plan is not to use that money right away. That money's going to be spread out over, I'm guessing, years of how we're going to use it. And I want to take you back to that policy that was in your minutes. That was drawn up by Matt Jenkins and Diane Salter. I don't know if you know Diane, but she's a lifelong school board member, chairman, president, whatever. And we finally found where the documentation to where we can use that money on other things as long as it qualifies as prevention. And I think the biggest one is down at the bottom, that abatement strategies is where we're probably going to be using it the most. Because we can do media campaigns, which is obviously in the paper, public education, just getting the information out. It can be used for support for training for first responders, the police and fire, if there's classes to help them, educate them better on treatment of overdoses or how to handle the people. We can help fund those things through that money. Also with the school, community groups, families, those sort of things to get the training out there. But we can provide all types of education to the school. We just have to ensure that it's evidence-based programs. We just can't come up with fly-by-night issues. But and cut to the core, that is what took us the longest to really get figured out in all the paperwork that it come with, is that BGYA in our community has items that we can use that money on. It truly discovered, we're having Challenge Day on the 25th, and really, and that's a $6,000 project. But after reviewing all of this, we could have used that money on that program and how it qualifies. And there isn't a mention in that Challenge Day of drugs. But it's all about mental health. And we all know that the drug business, vaping, the marijuana, a lot of these things are happening just over mental health issues. So we are able to do programs that can qualify in that.
Scott.
I think I don't think I can tell you much more about it.
I was going to say,
was
I didn't see the challenge day on the letter from BGYA, and that's such a great program when I helped out in it and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
So.
we didn't have it last year.
Oh, you guys didn't have it
No,
last
we
year?
didn't have it
Okay.
last year because we didn't have the funding, and it was $6,000. But
Okay. But you got it back
that's
this year.
improved. Yep. And well, Kaz with that time capsule,
Okay.
we ran him through the program what it was, and he insisted that his money
Goes to that.
would use for that. So
Yeah, that's a great program, so, I don't see any reason either, so I'll make the motion to release Brandon
But
Township's.
hang on just a second.
Okay.
Does Jason and Scott have to abstain from voting?
It's not taxpayer money and it's not county money. It's a settlement, so I wasn't going to this time.
Okay, just wondering.
Yeah. Usually when it's taxpayer money, we do because we're on the board, but
Okay.
there's nobody to tell us we can't do it. Because county, the only reason we did that before is because county sent it back to us and said we couldn't
Yeah,
vote.
and that was a county
It was a
issue
county
with-
thing.
with the CDBG funds.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, Dana.
Okay, I'll make a motion to release Brandon Township's opiate settlement funds in the amount of $12,882.85 to Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance to be used for the opioid remediation program.
Immediate.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Blair,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Rumble.
Motion carries.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
BGY appreciates, but I know in the future, the programs we're going to be able to provide from the community, you're going to see these come along, and I'll let you know. I'll keep you filled in on what we did with the money.
You know what, Bob?
Thanks for all you do for the kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, thank you too.
Yeah.
No,
Thank
our
you for
board-
all the hours you put into
I don't think people understand how much
DGYA.
time you put into this
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
But we have a great board, you know, it's such a diverse board of folks. You know, makes my life a whole lot easier, and I can't keep up with them half the time. I just like drawing up some of these things if Shelby or Matt, you know, rely on them to guide me through it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. All right, that brings us to the West Nile program. We have the program every year. We budget $4,000 for that, and this was my recommendation to the board to spend that money. And then $3,416.05 of that does get reimbursed. So, any questions?
I did have a question, but you answered it already. I was just wondering why we spent more than our allocation, because typically we don't.
We did last year.
Did we last year?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't think we did.
We did.
Have we been using it all up? Because I know sometimes.
We
you guys
have, well, you have
Have-
on the back there, the very last page shows what we have left, and we're ordering very minimal of that, and we're ordering more of the Dunks and the lemon one, because those ones are the ones that get gone really fast.
Gotcha.
So we're buying significantly more of those than the other things. So,
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what we had left.
yeah, it's on that back page.
I must have missed that.
So we,
Okay.
yeah. All right, then would somebody like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion. Participate in the Oakland County 2024 West Nile Virus Program by allowing the supervisors to submit a project plan to Oakland County, purchase mosquito control products
Oh, that's perfect.
in an amount of up to $4,000, and to request reimbursement from Oakland County for $3,416.05 after the resolution is approved.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh,
Support.
support.
All right, I think Adina was first. All right, and then we will see the resolution after we get the products and pay for it, so. All right. All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Broughton,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us to the dust control program. We have $90,000 budgeted for this, but unfortunately with price increases this year, to do the same that we did last year is about another $7,000. So I'm recommending that we move $7,000 from the carry forward to cover the total cost, since we only had $90,000 budgeted. And that will be, the attached list is the one that gets 5 applications, and in all of our other roads, you continue to get the 4 applications. So,
I'll make a motion to submit a request to the Road Commission for Oakland County to accept their 2024 blanket program for 5 applications of chloride to the roads listed on the chart above, and 4 applications of chloride to the remaining secondary roads in Brandon Township for a total of $96,891.76. Also to approve a budget amendment for $7,000 going to 101,464,932,200 coming
Excuse
from
me,
carry
Kathy,
forward.
you had said 96,800, or 981. You flipped the last.
Oh, did I?
Prior
Okay,
to
it's
the-
$96,891.76.
correct.
Thank you.
All right,
Support.
all right. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Dana. Any other questions?
No, that just went up a lot.
Yeah, it did, but,
It did, but it was several years.
but
that
it hasn't had a raise in about
that they
3
had.
years.
Oh,
Right.
has it been that long?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, on an unrelated note too, they just let me know that the gravel bid went out, and I forgot to mention this, the gravel bid went out and it actually came back as last year's price, so we're gonna be able to do like another mile once we'll
Wow.
figure that out, so
Great.
that's good news on that
That's
end.
good.
That never happens.
Right.
Yeah.
After they
kidding.
told us it was going
That
up
never
like
happens.
6%, it didn't, so, okay, sorry, but, can we get a roll call, please?
De Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us to the second reading for the mobile food establishments, and Chief is here in Jason's place, because Jason's at the planning commission meeting at the village, so he couldn't be here tonight.
My boss told me I had to be here for this.
So the couple of questions that you had regarding, I just want to address real quick. when we talk about signage, we're not talking about menu boards. So we want to make sure that that's clear. Unless it's something obnoxiously large and obtrusive, then yeah, then it could be considered, hey, you need to move that around. Again, we're trying to use common sense here, so it's not blocking paths. As far as permits, permits are not required on private property. So if it's a private event, such as an open house, it is not required. If it's a public event on private property, it is required. So because you're serving the public, and that's where we want to err on the side of safety. So I think that answered your questions. Okay? Does the board have any?
I just had a question for Matt. You sent us an email with your questions, but you sent it to the trustees and the supervisor didn't get copied
Correct.
on it.
I never
So
saw it. I don't
I
remember
just,
seeing it either.
and neither did the clerk and the treasurer. So I just sent that to Jason earlier today and he hadn't seen it before, but he's the one that would be able to go through that.
The website, I just got all the emails that I could, so if that email wasn't on there, I wasn't able to.
When did you
But-
send that email? Because I didn't get it either.
This morning.
But Matt's got mine now because the village manager had a separate, you had sent something separately to him, so I was
So-
able to get that information
So
from
are all your
Ryan.
questions answered then? Yeah, okay, great.
Swallowed wrong.
All right, so this is back before the board for a second reading, so does anybody want to make this motion?
I swallowed wrong.
I'll make a motion. A motion to adopt the second reading, the Mobile Food Establishments Ordinance, Chapter 6, Article 4, Section 6-138-61-145, Code of Ordinances for the Charter Township of Brandon, Oakland County, Michigan, as presented.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Marshall? Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Broutman?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes, motion carries.
Sussex, I swallowed
Excellent,
wrong.
thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief would be here if anybody has any questions on this next one too, but this one is for existing non-conforming lots. Right now, if a catastrophe were to happen to residents or building on that type of lot, they are not able to rebuild that. So this would allow them to rebuild to what is existing prior to the catastrophe. So the planning commission has went through this, they've recommended this to the board, and so has the building department, and Carlisle Wortman has prepared this, so they are recommending it.
Is this in response to Elizabeth Street?
Not just that,
Not
but
just that.
all the properties that are existing non-conforming.
Okay.
All right, so would anybody like to make this motion?
I'll make a motion to introduce for first reading the amended non-conforming structures and lots of record ordinance, Chapter 46, Article 9, Section 46-6, and Sections 46-487 through 46-492. Code of Ordinances for the Charter Township of Brandon, Oakland County, Michigan, as presented.
I think that's 11.
That's
then,
Article 11.
Oh, is it
yeah.
11?
Yep, that's the only, yeah.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the motion that it's Article 11.
Article 11. So, but she said as
Sorry.
presented, so.
Article 11,
Yep.
oh, the one is on the other
Yeah.
side.
Accept my,
Yeah.
my friendly amendment to your motion.
You want to second that, Steve?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Any other comments on this? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes, motion carries. That brings us into Rosalind's part, so go ahead, Ros.
Okay, so Bob just got up and spoke a little bit about the Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance. They put pinwheels out for the month of April for Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. And so what we have in front of us is a resolution to kind of adopt that.
Okay.
Shelby, is that also autism awareness as well?
is.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month proclamation as presented.
Okay,
This.
Second.
thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Steve. Any other questions or issues? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes, motion carries. Go ahead.
Okay, so we do receive, so we have smart buses with our senior center. We do receive a municipal credit and a specialized credit for the busing that we have. Kathy, I know you sent me an email earlier, so I just want to touch on the smart program that we have now. I know I kind of spoke about the reimbursement program in my report, about that money coming back from the county. But this is for our buses, so if there's any maintenance, these payments are coming back to the township quarterly. And so this is something that probably hasn't been coming to the board. It looks like it did for a while, and so we're making sure this is going to the board.
Okay. And yeah, I was just wondering, I know that with the RTA funds that the taxpayers are paying, I know at one point they were trying to get more funds coming to the northern townships, and I was just wondering if there was anything that's transpired recently.
So when we had a meeting with NODA and WODA, this is a while back
Yeah, 6
now.
months ago, probably.
So we're still, at this time, we're still using SMART, and then we have the NODA and WODA additional if
supplement.
people need it to use it.
Yeah, we asked them to supplement our programs. We didn't want to eliminate our programs.
Right.
So that's all they're doing at this point in time.
Does NODA and what was the other one?
WODA.
WODA.
North and west is
North
what
and
that
west.
Okay. Do they get additional funds from the RTA?
They were trying to get
Taxes.
our funds, but we didn't want to
Oh,
give
they-
them to them.
Well, yeah,
That's why
but-
they came to us.
But they should be getting funds from
I'm
Oakland
sure
County.
they do, but I don't know what they get, but.
Or more funds from Oakland County.
So the funds they get are what they use to supplement our program.
Okay,
So what that amount is, I don't know.
okay.
All right, does anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the attached fiscal year 2024 specialized services contract with Suburban Mobility Authority, SMART, and authorize the supervisor to sign it.
I'll go ahead and second that. Any other questions or comments? All right, Cindy, can we get a roll call, please?
Blair?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
De Palma?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes, motion carries. The next item.
Okay, so we have, so in the clerk's office, we do have an employee that, is no longer gonna be with us, and so we have a full-time position within the clerk's office. And, Cindy has been working in the clerk's office for some time. She's been doing a great job. She's a good fit in our office. She's kind of been doing some of the administrative work already. And so I was looking for a motion to move Cindy from a part-time position to our full-time administrative assistant, human resources coordinator.
For anybody that doesn't know, that's her
I
down
know.
there.
Thanks for that. Watch what I say.
I'm sorry to see Margaret leaving. Did she already hand in a resignation
She
letter?
did.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll make the suggested motion to hire Lucinda Vincentini, okay, sorry, as the full-time administrative assistant human resources coordinator at the 1-year full-time employee rate of $23.71, effective May 2nd, 2024, and use 101-215-702-000 wages to pay for said services.
Oh, second. He beat me.
I think that was Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Nobody
Think
heard
so.
Bob. Nobody heard
I did.
Bob.
And so did Ross.
I did.
And Dana. It's already.
Oh,
Okay.
of course.
All right, any questions, comments? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Broughton?
Yes.
De Palma?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes. Motion carries. Chief,
you.
you're up, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Probably the smartest thing they've done today, so congratulations. I mean that in all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
best.
yeah.
Okay. Dispatch contract. So Jason gave you a brief introduction into the fire dispatch contract. Unfortunately, Oakland County has added a 7.5% increase to all contracts due to what they call indirect services. The indirect services are a result of a Maximus study that they did. If anybody's familiar with the Maximus study, our government, military, and several other agencies also use this, and they can make that Maximus study pretty much say whatever they want it to say. But it's supposed to include utilities, stuff like that. The part that I find frustrating is that's stuff that we as taxpayers are already paying for, because we pay Oakland County taxes, and that's how they keep the lights on, pay the lawyers, pay billing, booking, all the other fun stuff that goes along with that. But yet, this 7.5% is out of our hands. There's nothing I can do about that part of the contract. And we did try.
We did try.
Bob Hoffman also tried. There was a group that tried to table it, and it was pretty obvious it wasn't going anywhere. So, with that being said, the other part of that contract increase is also due to our call volume. So, in previous contracts, our call volume was at 1323 for the years 21, 22, 23, and 24. Our history has shown us that our average call volume is now at 1,506. So that's how they also calculate what that monthly is going to be. And that's going to be for 24 through 27. So with all that being said, we really don't have another option to go to. Oakland County by far does, and it's nothing, and I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. It's not the sheriff's department that's including the 7.5%. It is.
They were against it as well.
Huh?
They were against it as well.
Yeah, it is Commissioner Woodward and those that follow along with that same plan. That's where this funding is coming from. And unfortunately, as I had indicated to Jason, and after we've had some discussions, and even at the meetings, we're pretty much, it is what it is. But I go back to, it's not the sheriff's department. They do a great job. Are there, as I always say, are there hiccups, bumps in the road? Absolutely. We're all human. We all make mistakes. The good thing about the sheriff's department is they own it and they fix it. Try to make it so it doesn't happen again. They do have a large turnover of staff here of recent, like everybody else, and they're still short, and they're trying to get additional people in. So I will commend them for that, trying to get to that point. But overall, as I said, there's really nowhere else for us to go to. Part of the problem is our public safety answering point is Oakland County Sheriff's Office, as it should be, because they're the ones that are taking the 911 call. So when you call 911, doesn't matter where you're at, you're going to a public safety answering point. And it's usually tied to where the police or law enforcement agency is. Because usually it's a police issue. By all accounts, they get more police calls for service than we do fire calls for service. And they don't want to, nor should they give that up. So long story short, they're the public safety answering point. If we were to go somewhere else, they would answer the call and then transfer it to the other agency, re-get all the information, and then tone us out. So all it would do is just delay our customer service to our residents, and we don't want to do that.
Increase response times.
Yep. Yeah, and absolutely, that's exactly what it does. It increases our response times. So thank you.
I love our sheriff's department. The guys here do great work. I have no problem with any of them. Like you said, they're always responsible. If they screw something up, they'll say, nope, that was bad on us. I really do not like having a commissioner down at Pontiac hanging this kind of crap over our head.
Yeah.
And it really irritates the crap out of me. And I would like to see us investigate someplace else to go. Now, I know right down the road here, they're using the state police and,
But they're not using it for fire contracts.
Not fire dispatch.
Not fire dispatch.
What are they using for that?
Oakland County Sheriff. So Oakland County Sheriff Communications is where they go to.
Okay.
The next closest one for us could be Rochester City, but they don't do EMD. which is emergency medical dispatch, meaning when you call, they're going to screen the call to say, okay, what do you have going on? Can you breathe? Does the patient have a pulse? If not, then they can start giving directions on, okay, take them off the bed, roll them over, open the mouth, start CPR, that kind of stuff. And along with that, is there still going to be a delay, like I said, because the PSAP's not going to go to Rochester City or Rochester Hills for that matter. It is going to go to the sheriff's office. Sheriff's office is going to take all that information, communications, not the deputies on the street, the communications part of it, and they're going to have to relay all that information. And when they relay that information, that costs time. So that's going to delay the service of us getting notified to come to any kind of a medical that any of us may have that live in this township or work in this township.
Well, anytime you set up a situation where one entity has a monopoly
Yes.
on it, you might as well take yourself out of the picture as far as having any legitimate say.
And unfortunately, that's what we're at.
Yeah, and we actually discussed between many of the communities starting our own, and it just would be millions of dollars to get it off the ground, and then Oakland County Sheriff is not going to give us their dispatch code stuff. So
They're
it's
not going to
gonna
give
work.
us the PSAP, so
Yeah.
they're still going to be the public safety answering point.
So
You know, I'd like to say something too, Bob, to your statement about who just, Dave was being very diplomatic. I'll be less so. The liberal arm of the Oakland County Commissioners decided they were going to add this 7.5%, even though the agencies that they're doing it for didn't want it.
Correct.
That's a liberal versus conservative view, and we're paying for it, and who knows where that money's going to go. It could go south of here, and we don't have any control. Sorry, Dave, I'll be the less diplomatic of the two.
well, and that same 7.5% is going to be in our police contract when we get
Yeah.
that. So
And it could be ad infinitum. They could keep adding 7.5% every time we do a
Especially
contract.
when they know that they aren't getting voted on, that those people aren't represented up here, and so they don't care.
The part that's really unfortunate is the 7.5% for us. Yeah, well, it looks like it's a 35% increase. That's a lot, but we're talking $7,000 more than what I had budgeted for. Your sheriff's department contract with the guys on the street and gals on the street, that's a different story. That's a lot of money. I wonder how many positions that's going to cost.
right, we've been talking about it
So,
with the supervisor.
Because I agree with Bob here, I know, I'm from the state police, I'm not like this super like we should go, but there should have some competition here. And I remember a few years ago, several years ago, they had talked about going to a regional dispatch. Remember, I don't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah, I was.
And they went to regional dispatch, and they would get rid of this competition between the state police, sheriff department, and all the other things. It was just going to be this thing. So whatever happened to that? Because I don't know if the sheriff department still has their own towers, because we changed over our radio system.
We do.
And do they still have their own towers, so we're our own entity? So when that
So-
starts to fall apart, what happens with that?
We're both. So we have our own entity within Oakland County. We have 30 towers. They downsized it from the 40-some towers that we had prior to that for the new radio system is what Steve is talking about. So we are fully up and on and active on that radio system, but we also can communicate anywhere in the state now. Before, we couldn't do that. We were on an island. Oakland County was our own island. You're very well aware of that. We were under that open sky network. I referred to with a different name, but my filter's kicking in again. So that open sky network was literally, we were on an island. Whether you were police, fire, it didn't matter. You could not communicate outside of that
Right.
without doing some kind of a patch. So now we are part of the MPSCS system, which is good. We also have, Oakland County has towers that are included into that, but we're a simulcast, which is, just to give you a quick snippet, I can key up here, and if you're in South Lyon and you have our frequency on, you can hear me in South Lyon. So it will simulcast all those 31 towers.
I understand that. Like you could hear somebody else at Sault Ste. Marie just as clear as a bell, right?
But you've got to switch to specific talk groups to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but to be brief, I'm seeing this as just being a huge problem that we have to pay for more and more, and it's like, because we got a monopoly here on dispatch centers, and the problem with even going to another dispatch or whatever is also, here's just the quandary, is that those dispatchers need to know the roads, and if they don't know the roads, you guys are screwed.
Exactly.
Because I've had people dispatch me on a Grand, and they had no idea where I was talking about. And
Not a
it's a bad thing. I mean, they were out of Grand, and they're dispatching me when I was down here. It's crazy. But I just wish there was, this is very frustrating to hear this, because I think we're getting screwed over so bad on this. And I wish we'd get some competition here somehow, and I don't know how that would be.
Well,
but
And
So-
I know, excuse me,
Yep.
Chief, I know we're in Oakland County, but, you know, a mile down the road this way is another county.
Right. And we got all these towers that are.
I won't
connected.
even go into how Genesee County dispatches their fire services. That is not an option. That's all I will tell you.
Thank you.
But it would just be nice if there was an exploration, real, not like
So-
wishful thinking,
right.
but
So-
like maybe
so what
we
I-
could do something.
What I will say is that there used to be several agencies that used to dispatch for themselves, like Orion did their own. They did Lake Orion PD and they did Lake Orion Fire, Orion Township Fire. They, Oxford was the same way. Oxford had their own dispatch center. Their Kego Harbor, the West Bloomfields, Bloomfield Township. I mean, you start looking at all these different communities, Holly and Rose Township. So, unfortunately, the sheriff's department, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it's just too cost prohibitive for us to try to do that. Because there was a talk years ago when about the sheriff's department and should we create our own. And we crunched the numbers. And a few $1 million is light by about $5 to $7 million on top of that. So try to come up with that, and then we'd have to staff it. And ultimately, we always came back to the PSAP issue. We're still going to delay response. And honestly, the sheriff's department does a great job for dispatching. This is nothing more than political gain for commissioners to be able to use funds, to Scott's point, however they would like.
I hear you. I understand that.
So that, and unfortunately, we're going to pay that on, they put that on any and all contracts.
All Oakland County contracts.
All of them. Sheriff, the deputies on the street, dispatch, anything else that you may use through Oakland County, you're gonna, if you have a contract with them, you're gonna see a 7.5% increase.
Yeah, so we'll probably see
At
that
the
on
minimum.
IT contract eventually too.
It just seems to me, the more we go along without kicking and screaming, the more they're gonna say, well, geez, okay, they're going along with it, so screw them.
Believe me, we went to the meeting and kicked and
Kicking and
screamed,
screaming.
and they didn't care.
Yeah.
Well, there were a few that heard, and Scott pointed those other ones out that didn't hear.
Right.
And they're not going to hear. My understanding, my understanding is this never actually went to the Board of Commissioners as a vote. It was just done. I don't know how true that is, but that's my understanding.
Well, even if it would have went to the board, it's like 13-9
Exactly,
or 13-6,
wouldn't have mattered,
so
right?
it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
So it's just unfortunate that politics come into a thing that is a life-saving service, and when time is of the essence, and, you know, they do a great job.
Yeah, but they're using them to
They're-
finance the
they're
work the work
using-
that you guys do, the good work that you guys do, whether it's blue or brown, whatever you
Yep.
want to call it,
Yep.
and red for fire, whatever. They're using that great work and benefiting enough without having to put a lick of. This is what irritates me.
I
Without
agree.
having to put a lick of work in, or don't even understand or care. Half the time, we want to get defunded by us. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I say us police officers because I was
Right.
once one.
Right.
Chief, you said that you didn't originally budget for this increase, and I was just wondering if you had some idea of how you're going to cover.
So we're just going to take it out of carry forward funds,
Yeah.
and we'll do a budget amendment at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my plan. That's why I didn't bring it tonight. I knew this was going to be a hot topic enough, just on the 7.5%. And then the other increase on top of that, so.
All right, would anybody like to make the motion?
Not really.
I know we have to do it.
Well, I'll
but-
make the motion so we can vote.
I know we have to do it, but not really want to.
I feel like
do
my
it.
arm's being twisted here.
So hold on, let me, So suppose we say, no, we're not gonna do this. What happens? What are they gonna do?
We
So-
eventually won't have dispatch service?
We will not have dispatch services.
And they by law do that? I mean,
Yes, they can.
I know the sheriff's department is obligated
They
to
are
run
not
the jail.
obligated, they are not obligated to provide us dispatch services. So we'd have to do it ourselves, and we did that years ago, and that does not work.
I'll man a phone if you will, Bob.
I'll man a phone.
Okay, so come on in at midnight to the 5 o'clock in the morning when
Like
those
I've never
calls
done
come
it
in.
before.
Right.
I have.
Right.
And let me tell you something, that's not something, we want trained dispatchers to be doing that. You want your fire service personnel to be out on the streets to take care of them.
All right, I will make the motion to accept the 2024-2027 fire dispatch service agreement between the County of Oakland and the Charter Township of Brandon as written.
I will second that.
Any other?
I should have put in there begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, yeah.
Yeah. All right, can we get a roll call, please, Cindy?
The Palma,
Begrudgingly, yes.
Marshall,
Abstain.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, because we have no other choice.
Can, just let's be clear, I don't want, can somebody abstain from a vote?
That's
We have
what
to
I was
vote
wondering.
on
I
that.
thought
We
we
have to
did.
vote on
We have
no.
to
Even
vote.
no.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
You changed it to no.
I'm okay with that.
Yep. And it's
So
nothing,
that
like I said,
was
it's nothing against the sheriff's
6-1?
department, nothing against our department here. It just rubs me the wrong way that they're,
Politics are always fun.
All right, Chief, that brings us to the last item.
Okay. So there was a change to our, some of our employee healthcare benefits back in November. And unfortunately, there was a wording clause that was taken from the vision policy and added to the dental. And it wasn't real clear that that wording had been changed. And it was kind of frustrating. And we realized later that that wording change has created an issue for some of our employees that take the $2,000 stipend for not taking health care. But health care does not include dental. Dental is separate. So, by doing that, we have always, as long as I've been here, is that if you chose to take the $2,000 stipend, you could still get the dental, and there wasn't a charge to that. You didn't have to pay for it. The vision was that way for quite a few years until it changed, where we had to have a separate policy. And that is costly if you were going to do that individually. So we said, if we're going to do that, and an individual wants the vision, which is more costly than the dental, then you had to pay for it if you were taking the $2,000 stipend. And let's be honest, that $2,000 stipend for not taking health care saves us
Significant savings.
a huge amount of money. Depending on how many people are underneath that plan, it could be anywhere from $24,000 to $28,000, just as rough numbers. So to give back the dental is not that big of an ask. So when we caught that, it was brought up that, hey, we probably need to fix both the township and the fire department policies. So that's what you have in front of you. You have the red line version, so you can see it. And we want to make sure we're real clear about that. You know, we'll stay for the vision part, but it will be removed for the dental parts, for both township employees and fire department employees. Any questions?
Yeah, so this got added to the policy,
It got added in
Did
November.
that in November.
and we didn't realize that that's what it was
We missed
doing.
it. And usually I'm really on top of things, and I missed it, because had I been probably a lot more thorough on that one, I would have stopped it then, or at least attempted to stop it, and been, hey, why are we doing that? Because that's not something we've ever done, and what's the reasoning behind it?
All right, does anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, go with somebody.
Dana's?
Dana, I think so.
Okay, to update, I make the suggested motion to update the Township General Employee Benefits Manual and the Fire Department Employee Benefits Manual, Section 3.3, to remove the option to purchase separate dental coverage paragraph.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kathy and Dana. Any other questions? Can we get a roll call, please, Cindy?
Marshall,
yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Troutman,
Yes.
Palma,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Chief. All right, that brings us back to citizens' comments on anything. Are there any citizens that have a comment? And it's limited to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Ed Derbyshire. I live at 1125 Connell Road, and I think I've been here every month now. I have bought some property on Baldwin Road, and I have some water issues that I can't seem to get the Drain Commission or the Road Commission to resolve. And I just got off the phone with the Road Commission again today, and they said that the culvert that's blocking the flow of the water off of the property on North of Granger Road is the township's responsibility. Brings me to another thing with this is my property that I purchased after paying the back taxes that the lady lost the property on, $20,000. I bought it a year ago, March 17th. They brought the value down to a new assessed value of $22,800. I think the property's only worth $30,000 because that was all that I was ever offered for it. It's been for sale for a year because I can't get to the trees to tap them for the maple syrup because of the amount of water that's on the property, which is killing the trees. So I think I'd like to just get rid of it. I was very clear that the property would be sold on a handshake just right now for $30,000. They denied it. I got the letter today. And I know this is money that you guys need for things like fire and for police, but really the only services I get is electricity and the gravel roads. And it's just really frustrating that I've been working this for a year and I can't seem to get them to drain the property to make it so that the assessed value that you guys think the property's worth, which was $74,000, which I have to pay taxes on, is a buildable site, but it's underwater, so I don't know how you do that. But we only zone thing residential, or I can get an agricultural exemption, but it was denied because they didn't see any tapping of the maple trees because I couldn't get on the property. So it's weird that we want to collect all this money to pay for fire when my house would probably burn down before the fire trucks got there because there's no water, city water or anything. So therefore I pay a premium on my house insurance for that kind of stuff. It's just frustrating when it's vacant land, pure vacant land, that we're just being taxed right out of the property. And like I said, I will sell it to anybody that wants it in 5 days for $30,000. I don't know why they have to say, oh, it's worth 44, you should put up for sale for 44 and see if someone will buy it. Now I have to go down to Oakland County, I guess, to appeal it again. And it's just, this whole system for collecting taxes isn't fair. If you look at they don't tell you any comparables on how they came up with the $44,000 that they say it's worth. They don't compare it to realistic properties. And the whole thing's just really messed up. And as a citizen for 30 years in this community, it's really frustrating. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Board comments, Kathy, anything else?
Not really. I just wanted to say that I did go to the clerk's office last week to get updated policy changes, because I was looking back and I hadn't gotten any, and apparently they hadn't been giving them to the trustees, so there's other trustees on the board that don't have their policies up to date, but they gave me a whole new policy
You're not on the
manual.
email that Margaret sends out for all the updates? Okay.
We'll make sure that.
Apparently
Sure
we're
gets added.
not, I don't know, but
thought
they
you guys
gave,
were.
they gave me a new policy manual in my
We'll go,
box, so.
I'll just make sure that everyone.
Yeah, and so we had one tonight too, so I just want to make sure that the trustees don't get overlooked on that.
Sure.
All right, Steve?
No, sir.
Scott?
Yeah, I have something, I'll be brief. I saw an article in the paper. Apparently somebody from the township reached out to a local group and said that the Brandon Township Park would be a good place for, a good venue for their day. And I agree, I think that is a good venue. What I don't like, and this could have just been hearsay as far as who said what, But there should have been a discussion with the board about, okay, well, it's great that you're going to use that out there, but I'm assuming that that particular event is going to require additional sheriff's office personnel, and who's going to be paying that bill? That's a question that the board needs to be able to answer.
It's already handled, and they already are. They've already
They
agreed
are.
to pay for police cut services for the day.
Good, then I have nothing else.
Rosalind?
I just wanted to mention that we've kind of already talked about the BGYA, Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance. They're having their youth recognition on April 25th, and they're also looking for volunteers for Challenge Day. So if you are interested, reach out to Shelby or Bob MacArthur.
Thank you. Bob?
I've got nothing.
Dana?
Just wanted to say congratulations to Roslyn on your
Thank you.
clerk, and congratulations to Cindy. And also, they're looking still for racking and raking too, right? Help
Yes.
with racking
Yes.
and raking. And that's about it, so.
All right. I don't have anything additional tonight, so looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob.
Support.
Thank you, Dana. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.